So now we're going to talk about eyes and whether or not we can have younger looking eyes with makeup. I guess one of the big things to remember is it's so important to add more definition, as you were saying earlier, and often our brows can become sort of sparse with age, so it's quite important to put the definition back in there. Now I've already done mine, and actual fact I didn't use a brow product for this. I've come across a hair product called Wow, which is actually developed in fact for this one here. I found it great for doing my eyebrows. It seems to last longer. It's actually designed to cover your grey roots of your hair. So I don't happen to have any grey roots, and it was sent to me as a sample. I thought, what else can I use it for? And I quite like to try to experiment with that. So I've actually used it with a slanted brush just to fill in my eye area, my eyebrows, where they've needed a little bit of filling out, and then I've just brushed them up with an eyebrow brush. So the other thing obviously we perhaps need to do is pay a bit more attention to our dark circles. Now you might have seen my foundation video, but what I have done is got foundation under my eyes. I've actually tended to use Daniel Sanders one because his concealer is the same colour as the foundation underneath. It's got a handy little mirror there that we can use, and apply that just to the really, with a concealer brush, just to the really dark areas. So, and also just in the inner eye, because our skin does get thinner there and we do get darker just in that corner. So fill in specific dark areas, and then pat it in gently, and then to lighten the whole of the eye area, I've been using a Charlotte Tilbury highlighter pen. You can use anyone, I think, and to try to deflect the light upwards. We've been talking about the triangle of use. So in a triangle, I do a triangle like this, and I go all the way up past my crow's feet to put the light upwards on the face. Have to really pat it in very well. It throws the light upwards. And hopefully you should be able to see the difference between this eye and that one. And the other thing it does as well is by going up over here, we're going across the crow's feet, and we're actually diffusing the wrinkles by bouncing the light across the lines, so it makes the lines of the crow's feet look a little bit softer. So just a little hint there. And then with the eyeshadow, I tend to like to start off with a relatively neutral eye. Now I've already put some eyeshadow on this one. I'm going to just do the other one, not to bore you with doing two. So in this case I've just got a palette of different eyeshadows, but you can use any palette really, whichever one suits you. And I've got a sort of, I guess you'd almost call it like a minky type colour here, but I'm using a sheer across the lid. And it's perfectly okay to use sheer on the lid because that actually helps us to shears bring things forward, so we want to emphasise our lids, so that's fine. To create a bit more depth, because obviously as we get older sometimes we tend to lose the definition of the eyelid, just gets slightly hooded. So to put that shadow back in, I'm putting a darker shade into the crease and slightly above the crease. I'm going to blend that well. Just to create a little bit of a depth there on the eye. Right, so we've eliminated the dark circles and put a neutral base on the eyes, and now we're looking to add a bit more definition in there. We've already defined a little bit more definition in the socket by putting a darker shadow in the crease. But what about the rest of our eyes? Now, one little trick is if you don't want to use a full eyeliner perhaps during the day, or not a fan of eyeliners, you can actually create more definition in your eyes just by filling in on the waterline underneath your upper eyelashes. So if you just very gently do that, it just makes the base of the lashes look thicker and makes sure your whole eye have a little bit more definition. So hopefully you can see the difference between the two. I'm just going to quickly do the other one. And that's just a really simple trick, just to get eyes a little bit of a pop. To actually use more a traditional eyeliner, you can pretty well use, there are so many different sorts. I've never been very good with liquid eyeliner, so I tend to steer more towards pencils, or even using a darker eyeshadow with a slanted brush, just to create that definition across the upper eyelid and also a little bit down below. In this particular case, I'm using, again, something slightly softer look. I'm using a Daniel Sandler long-lasting gel pencil, just to go across the top of the upper eyelid, and starting in the inner eye, and you get thicker as you go out, just to add that little bit more definition. Now try not to go, because our eyes tend to droop, if we go outside, if we follow the line down and go out past the end of our eyes, we bring the whole of the eye area down. So because we're trying to create that triangle of youth and go upwards, try to sort of think small triangles again. In this case, the angle of the triangle is not too sharp, but we're just taking the eye up and we're stopping short to try and give a little bit of a lift. And hopefully you can see, actually as it happens my eyes aren't particularly even, but hopefully you can see how that's defined my eye and lifted it up. And again, underneath the eye, just to create that little bit of extra definition. Now, there's nothing at all wrong. I'm going to look a bit stranger. I'm going to do my eyes with different colours. There's nothing at all wrong in actually using a coloured eyeliner. And I really like in the summer, especially if I don't want to wear lots of eyeshadow, but just want to look a bit more summery, I tend to use things like aquamarine and those nice sort of bluey greens to really make the eyes stand out. So again, same principle, start in the inner corner, which we did with the grey one. And with this one, I tend not to go go into the whole eye because I find it's a little bit too much. But I do just put a little bit of colour in the middle, just to give a little bit of extra depth and definition, and a bit of slightly sort of more sort of shimmery, sort of summery look. So I've got my eyeliner on. I've defined the eyes under the lashes and over, and now I'm going to continue with the principle of the triangle. As I said, we're trying to create that lifted look, the look where you have more definition, and we draw the eye upwards. So I'm going to take the darker green eyeshadow, go with my green eyeliner here, and I'm just going to apply that in a sort of a triangle again, just to lift the eye. The illusion of the triangle, taking the eye up and out towards the brow. And I'm going to complement that by doing a little bit more shimmer, paler shimmer, on the inside of the Minky eyeshadow I used previously. Now, if I want a stronger look, which I'm going to do with the other eye, I really like blue, and I'm saying that and I'm picking up a purple one. I really like blue, and I really like blue eye. I really like to use these chubby pencils. This happened when I happened to buy in Sephora when I was in France, but I love to build up the colour. It's great to build up colour, and with that what I tend to do is go into the crease. It's almost like a semi-smoky eye look, and build it up, but build this colour up. Really easy to build up colour with the pencils. Go a bit darker again on the outside in the crease. Move the eye, moving it up. Again, the other thing we don't want to do is go over the outside of the eye, because then we're making the eye look as though it's drooping again. So to have something that's really clearly defined, again, taking the trusted Daniel Sandler concealer, I'm just creating a slight uplift. Eyelashes. Now, as we get older, our eyelashes do get thinner and coarser. And there's a whole video I've done on different products we can have to actually enhance our eyelashes. But what's really important again is to make them look like that sort of slightly more luscious. Now I always start off with an eyelash curler, which again really helps to open up the eye, which is something we're trying to do to give that more youthful look. Now personally I'm a huge fan of Hypnose Drama mascara for everyday use, but if we really want to add that little something extra, if we really have lost that length in our eyelashes, I have come across a lovely little product which I'd like to share with you, and that's called Sheer Cover. Now it's not perfectly straightforward mascara, so you use one coat of the mascara. And then there's a separate little product that comes with it, again by Sheer Cover, and it has this tiny, you can see on the brush, these little fibres. What I tend to do is just use them on the outside lashes, because if you use them in the middle ones they look a bit too doll-like. You can just literally put it on the outer lashes after your first coat, and then you put a second coat of the mascara on top. I don't know if you can see, but it gives the, again, it's all about illusion. It gives the illusion of longer lashes. Without wearing false ones. So it's just a little trick. I don't know if you can, if the camera's picked up on that. But it does actually make your outer lashes look bigger, longer, and open up the eye. I'm just going to do, look very odd with two different eyes here, but I'm just going to do the other eye just with my totally normal mascara. Always roll upwards. And the other thing is, don't pump, because if you pump, you're letting too much air, and that's what makes the mascara go cloggy. Just do the lower lashes as well. One of the tricks also for a younger looking eye, if you look at younger people, the whites, the waterline and the lower lashes tends to be quite pale. Now, people like apparently Madonna, Gwyneth Paltrow, they use white pencil in their eyelids. Now, for a long time I've been using a slightly pinker one, but for a different reason. I happen to have a mole inside my eye, and people always think I've got something in my eye and point it out to me. So I've tended to use, it's almost a fleshy colour pencil, just inside the eye. As you can see, immediately makes the eye look brighter. You can use the white one if you want to, but that just makes the eyes look more useful, hopefully.